this week's Epic Epoch update, you'll learn, dun dun dun. Alright, what do we got? This is a review of the 4 articles I published this past week. And I personally think they're all interesting, and I had quite a bit of fun writing them as far as I consider research fun, which I do. One is, it's rather odd in a way. I was watching a John Candy movie called Delirious, and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, well, you know, if I overlay a template on this movie and I attempt to see whether certain things in the movie match this template, it certainly seemed to match. So I'm calling it MK Ultra / Monarch symbolism in John Candy movie Delirious. Actually, it's a question mark at the end, because you know, it's not like I'm have any way of knowing that there is such symbolism in there, but it seemed to me that there was. Everything from certain numbers that are mentioned to the overall plot, which is basically about a guy that can literally mind control people. I mean, that's what the movie's about. It's hilarious, you know. John Candy movies tend to be. It's slapstick humor comedy. It's well done for what it is, and it's funny. But underlying it all, you just gotta wonder sometimes. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Then I posted an article that really wasn't my research, and I didn't really write a lot for it. It's just called Resources for Researching the Ancient Alien Issue of Vimana-UFOs. Now, if you're into the ancient alien issue whatsoever, you know they're constantly mentioning the Vimanas. Oh yes, the ancient Hindu texts that mention Vimanas that were obviously technologically advanced UFO spaceship weapons that could basically conduct nuclear war. And in this case, I'm giving you sources that are from Jason Colavito and Chris White, who both did research in this area. And as far as I'm concerned, just completely dismantled the whole claim that there are ancient Hindu texts that discuss these sort of spaceship super weapons. It's basically a concoction of more recent channeled text and revising, revamping, and misconstruing more ancient texts. So these are really interesting. And one reason for me posting this is that something that'll be coming up soon is a very lengthy essay dealing with the issue of the serpent seed theory, if you know anything about that. The claim that Mary had sex with Satan, and therefore Cain is the literal son of Satan. Within that essay, I happen to mention something about this issue of the Vimanas, and instead of writing a succinct statement within that essay, I figured I would post this one, and then I could link to this one from that one. That just makes things a lot easier. So if you're interested in the whole serpent seed theory, be on the lookout for the upcoming article, because as far as I'm concerned, it's very detailed, and it did seem to answer pretty definitively all the objections, because it's actually a reply. It's going to be a reply to a comment by Zen Garcia, who is a very, at least pop level, well-known promulgator of the serpent seed of Satan theory. So, next article was a continuation on my reply to an atheist from the skeptic arena. And this one deals with the terms freethinking and skepticism. Because one thing that came up in our discussion, as it were, is terminology and how to define terminology. And I found it very interesting that he appeals to dictionaries in a selective manner, if I may say so. But when I do the same, when I look at dictionaries, I seem to corner him a bit, or so it seems to me. And I always think about how there's actually many different forms or kinds or sorts of definitions, right? You have grammatical definitions, you have scientific definitions, you have philosophic definitions, you have theologic definitions. And so it's not quite as easy always to say, look at the dictionary, therefore, not to mention the fact that people often use a word and pour their own meaning into it. Whether that is viable or not is a secondary issue. And of course, there has to be some kind of premise upon which to have discussions in the first place so that we are understanding the same thing by the same words. But one of the points about having a discussion is don't even jump into them without first defining your terms. So in this case, we're dealing with the terms freethinking and skepticism. And the last article is also a continuation of a series about the ancient languages researcher named Michael Heiser. And on this case, it's what he had to say about angels, watchers, cherubim, and seraphim. I find that in the particular Gedanken experiment, as far as I'm concerned, a succinct sort of preliminary statement he had to make on related issues about reptilians in the Bible and outside, because he also talks about the Book of Enoch and the Dead Sea Scrolls. He had a lot of interesting things to say, and I'm definitely on board with much of what he has to say in general. But I do think that he was making some errors in this case. And sometimes I think that it's because when you're looking at things from a scholastic point of view, you want to be able to make certain points because you're a scholar and you're supposed to do scholarship. And stuff that doesn't always make sense. For example, concluding that Satan may have been a seraphim or a seraph, because that gets tied into him being a reptilian, and that gets tied into why he's referred to as a serpent in the Garden of Eden. Okay, well, I think that's all problematic actually, because he's a cherub, not a seraph. But anyhow, so you can check that out for the details. So there it is. That's the past week's 4 articles. I definitely had fun posting them and researching them, and I hope you'll enjoy reading them and passing them around your social networking sites. I guess I should say this. You know, sometimes I see these YouTube videos that say, must watch, make viral. And I tend to not even bother watching those because I just find that to be so annoying. It's like, oh, really? You know, you got some like earth-shattering news and I have to come and make it viral for you? Really? I don't know. That's just me. But the fact is that you can actually support me financially for free. All right? And I don't know anyone else who will make that kind of deal. Because Examiner pays per traffic and per subscriber. So, if when you look at articles such as these, you open them all up, even if you don't want to read them, God forbid, and just, you know, post them around your social networking sites a little bit, that will actually help me a lot. It'll help me a lot, and all it takes is a mouse click. So you might actually want to subscribe for free to my Examiner page. All it means is you'll get an email when I post something, and then you can open the article and boom, there you go. You're financially helping me, and all it takes is a mouse click, okay?